hanged man I am. Marylin Tyrrell, aka the bitch. When Marylin Tyrrell found out that I was diagnosed schizophrenia, she banned me from ever talking or contacting her twin sons and her daughter ever again. To many people, a disability is a disease. They label it and they categorize it like bubonic plague, rabies, AIDS. Because what goes through their minds is such abstract. None of us would like to know or have their thoughts concerning me in our minds. Now, this was harmful, extremely harmful. It was hurtful then, and it's still hurtful now. But what is the after effects, the results of her judgment upon me? Well, I had one nephew that emigrated to New Zealand, but he came back for holiday. No doubt he met my mother, who's now passed on. He probably met up with my two other brothers, and yet I was excluded. So, if he has children, I'm excluded from having any kind of verbal communication with them. They may or may not know of my existence. I don't know whether he had or has children. Then there's the other nephew. I can never tell the nephews apart because they're twins, identical twins. Now, he started living with a woman, and she gave birth to a daughter and a son. I remember maybe a couple of years before my mother passed away, I went to visit her, and he was there with his daughter and his son. She's 9, and I'm not sure how old he was. So the curse, in many ways, it is when Marylin Tyrrell, aka the bitch, judged me as dangerous. I'm not allowed to have any verbal communication whatsoever with his son and daughter. Many people would consider this to be extreme. It is in my mind. Then you got Samantha, another bitch. When my mother was living in the family home, as I was as well, but by the time Samantha announced her good news to my mother, I had moved out. So on this occasion, I was visiting my mother, and she said to me, "Andrew, please don't get upset at what I'm about to tell you." I thought, this sounds ominous. So my reply was, "How can I guarantee, Mother, I won't get upset after you've told me what you just said you were going to tell me? But I will try not to get upset." She said, "Samantha's getting married. David and Stephen are invited. You are not." And I thought, this is another extension of Marylin Tyrrell, aka the bitch, curse her judgment upon my soul. And yes, I was shocked. I wasn't particularly close to Samantha, but I was shocked anyway. Well, that's the last time I saw Samantha. If that's her attitude, I don't wish to associate with someone like that. So I didn't see her again for another 14 years, which probably made her a day, and likewise myself. It was the day my mother was cremated. Now, I have osteoarthritis in my kneecap, so standing up on a cold day is extremely painful. So I sat in my brother's car, and as everyone turned up for the cremation, no one said hello to me. Not a single soul said hello to me. My brother David and his wife Sue, who disassociated themselves from me with prejudice. They didn't even acknowledge my existence. And so who turns up? Samantha's 14-year-old daughter, who didn't bother coming over and saying hello to me, but gave Stephen a hug, and more likely David a hug. So you who are listening to this audio, ask yourself this question. Okay, I have a diagnosis of schizophrenia. It's not infectious. I choose not to take medication. Maybe you can understand to a degree why Marylin, Samantha, Warren and Paul have all freaked out. But then again, should they judge me on what they perceive me? Because they must have done research as doctors and got a completely different idea. Because a lot of psychiatrists and psychologists they believe they're schizophrenic, cannot live in this reality without medication supporting them. Well, it was an eye-opener. Because when it was time to go in, we all went in. Now, I was given a program that my brother Stephen had printed out. It stated that Warren and Samantha would give a speech, would say something. Did my brother Stephen ask me, do I want to say something? No, of course not. That's forbidden. That's unforgivable. My brother actually having value for me to the point where I want to say a few words at Mother's cremation is unacceptable. He's always viewed me as a village idiot of low intelligence. Why? Because I'm disabled. How outrageous can you get? So, after hearing what Warren said, because before we had the cremation, he didn't bother coming up and shaking my hand and say, "Hello, Andrew, how are you?" So it's just like the rest. And while before the service started, he did say, "Andrew, how are you?" But the point is, damage has been done. And so after the cremation, and the music was played from Dr. Vargo, Julia's song, which is a beautiful piece of music. The person who took it was a woman, which I have no problem. And she said, there is a side room that you can go and meet and have a cup of coffee if you wish to. Now, my brother had booked my taxi for 2:45, but the cremation and the ceremony had finished by 2:30. So what did he do? He phoned up the taxi company, cancelled the 2:45 one, and booked another one to pick me up immediately. And as soon as the taxi arrived, he put me in a taxi, and I was whisked away back to Southampton train station. No, sorry, Southampton Airport Parkway train station. So when I asked him, what's that room for? Oh, I didn't tell him I heard what the person who took the ceremony said to him concerning the room. And he said, I don't know. So, in many ways, what was I? Who was I? I was someone not to associate with. No one said hello. No one shook my hand. No one said a single word And it says, I am the hanged man because they've judged me of being unworthy. And so I am the hanged man without life, without importance, without significance. And then what have I done to them? Nothing. I've had a mental breakdown. I've been diagnosed with schizophrenia. And so I am, to them, nothing. A worthless soul. So, how do they perceive me? Well, I've given you the facts, and you, the listener, you can deduce how they perceive me. I mean, one time, I wanted to save up money. I'd have to make a lot of sacrifice to save enough money to visit my cousin Andrew and his father in Canada. So I asked Elsie, my auntie, who visits them on a regular basis, because I had relatives in Canada. I said, Elsie, I'm thinking of going to visit Andrew and Brian in Canada. Could I get a copy of their address? She said, I've lost it. 3 months later, she visits them in Canada. So to her, I'm a despicable human being. And in her eyes, I'm the hanged man. And a few years ago, relatives from Canada came over and saw relatives of mine. But guess what? I was excluded from the meeting. I didn't know. And once again, I'm the hanged man. When my Uncle Peter died, I wasn't told. When my Auntie Sandra died of cancer, I didn't know she was in hospital because no one told me. And yet, it all boils down to a diagnosis of schizophrenia. There's no blame on the psychiatrist whatsoever because we're not family. So he's done what his qualifications and experience have enabled him to do. So back to my family. And as this audio is about Marylin Tyrrell, aka the bitch, I will never see her again. When she dies, I will not be told. Because although in a way, I feel sorry for her. Because obviously she's been given wrong information. And if she was buried, I would like an invitation to go and pay my last respects, but I can't imagine that happening. Now, I'm attempting to tell you something of the future. When my niece, Becky, gets married in Manchester, I cannot see myself getting an invitation. But then again, I have no proof that my niece Becky isn't already married. See, when my mother passed away, my brother asked me what of her flat items would I like. And I met this guy called Johnny that she's dating. I mean, it's a big possibility that my brother Stephen told Johnny and Becky not to tell me they're married. But then again, they could still be single, and a number of years in the future they will get married. But I won't get invited. But then again, I am the hanged man. So why would they invite someone they've judged? So that's what I got to put up with. That's what I have to endure day in, day out. I'm not allowed to talk to them to try and sort things out because in the eyes of my brother Stephen, I'm in the wrong. In the eyes of my brother David, I'm in the wrong. Now, you can get blood out of a stone. So there's pointless trying. So when my niece Samantha informed me I want that through my mother she's getting married and I'm uninvited, she was abusing my mother. I mean, that's an insult. But then Samantha is like Marylin, arrogant bitches who don't give a damn but themselves. But you think about it. I'm not allowed to even say hello to my niece, her 14-year-old daughter, which then is also discrimination. She's denying her offspring. Warren and Paul are denying their offspring. All because the bitch judged me. Something I've never told anybody before, and I will mention it now, considering this audio file was about Marylin Tyrrell, aka the bitch. When she told me in private that I'm banned for ever communicating with her children or contacting their children, she did say, I said, but why are you making this judgment? Her reply was, I do not want them murdered or killed by you. And my jaw dropped. Because before the diagnosis, I was part of the family. After the diagnosis, I'm bubonic plague, so to speak. I'm Hannibal Lecter. I'm the worst kind of human in existence in their eyes. I'm the hanged man. I'm the man who is hung. A ghastly experience. So I'm taken to the woods. My hands are tied behind my back. I'm raised up. The knot is tied around my neck. And they drop me. And all this time, since Marylin judged me and told me these words, I've been a hanged man in the forest of the woodland. She's judge, jury, and executioner. So that's what I gotta put up with. And the old saying is, you can choose your enemy, but you're screwed with your family. And some people have it worse than myself. But as I'm illustrating what's exactly going on, regardless of what anybody else, I gotta put up with this. So, ask yourself this question. My mother, when my brother died in '74, developed agoraphobia for mental breakdown. For 30 years, my brother Stephen and his wife Diane has refused to spend Christmas Day with my mother, who cannot leave the house. My brother David, who hates her with a vengeance, won't visit her Christmas Day. So, when I was living in St. Anthony at the time, I would go up in the evening time, Christmas Eve, and stay for 2 or 3 days, putting her tenancy at risk. That's what I was led to believe. And now I then moved to Dorset. I would still sometimes, if I could manage it, because my mother would control the TV, I was forced to watch and listen to what she wanted on the TV, which only happens once a year, but having it 4 days in a row gets rather hard. And as she turns the heating off, when she goes to bed at night, which is 6:30, the flat gets rather cold as well. But it was once a year, so I put up with it. The last time I visited my mother was in 2015. It cost me £110 because I managed to hire my cleaner at the time to pick me up at Christmas Day. That's what she charged me, which I fully accept. And so when my brother Stephen phoned me up and told me that our mother is in hospital and she might not last out the night, I quickly put down the phone, jumped into a taxi, rushed down to Paul train station, caught a train up to Southampton train station. But before then, I did phone up to find out what ward my mother was on and if I'm able to sit with her while I arrive. And the answer was yes. So I got to Southampton train station, departed the station and made the phone call again to make sure that I'm allowed to sit with her. So I got on a taxi when I saw her. She had no idea I was there because, in a sense, she didn't know what reality she was in. She was in a tremendous amount of pain. And so she was given morphine to relieve the pain for her. And when she passed away, it was horrific. The only other death I experienced was when my father died in 1990. And when my brother phoned me up eventually, I said to him, "Look, Steve, I'm stranded in Southampton. Mother's passed away and I have no money to get home. Can you please phone David and ask David to pick me up at the hospital and allow me to sleep in Mother's flat just for the night?" He said no. So if the nurses had not chipped in money to pay for a taxi, I would have slept rough on the day my mother died. Now ask yourself this question: what kind of man does this to their disabled brother? I have osteoarthritis, I have schizophrenia, I have epilepsy, I'm partly blind. What kind of person does this to another human being? And so that's what I got to put up with. So this is my audio concerning Marylin Tyrrell, aka the bitch, and how her curse, her judgment upon my soul all those years ago, back in 1989, have come to fruition. She's got her wishes. My rights are denied. I do hope you've enjoyed my audio. I am Isaac Peter because I changed my name by default. Look out for other audios concerning how I'm hated while I'm the hanged man, viewed by other members of the family. There will be additions and going onto my YouTube channel and links on my website when I put an audio with a video. So, I hope you enjoyed. And one thing, humans can be bastards, but they can be beautiful creatures. Giving you a hug. Take care. Goodbye.